Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Hope Talk, provided by St. Hope Foundation. My name is Rachel.
And my name is Ajai.
And today we are joined by...
I'm Dr. Barnes. I'm the pediatrician here at St. Hope.
I'm Kacey Roberts. I'm the transportation manager at St. Hope.
And I'm Sean Royal. I'm the front desk representative for St. Hope and company DJ.
So, can you tell us how long you've been working for the company?
I started in 2016.
I started in 2018.
I started in September of 2021.
So, anything in particular that brought you to St. Hope?
It was a job that paid.
How did you find out about St. Hope? Like, what?
I was actually a volunteer for St. Hope before I started working here. So they used to have a program called Bro for Life that reached out to African-American men that did HIV and STI testing out in 3rd Ward. So I used to volunteer a lot and do different activities with them. So that's what geared me to get employed with St. Hope eventually.
So technically, you've been affiliated a lot longer
Than before, yeah. For the
Yeah,
most
so
part.
how?
Okay. You're an OG with St. Hope. Okay.
Something like that. Something like that.
Okay, Kacey, how long have you been here?
Well,
What brought you here, I should say.
It's okay.
Yeah.
well, I was moving to Houston, and I was searching for a job. And
That's usually how it goes.
I actually saw that St. Hope did a lot with the HIV community, which my uncle was part of the HIV community, and I thought that was intriguing. So I looked into it, applied.
Nice. And your story?
I was also moving to Houston. And what I liked about St. Hope was the patient population kind of as well that they served. Different a little bit for the pediatric side of things. But yeah, that's what I liked about the company.
Okay, so we're gonna just jump right into it. What does pride mean to you guys?
I hate everybody looked at me first.
Yeah, we don't have to. We won't put all the pressure on you. But our topic today is pride, so we want to go ahead and just jump right into that. Kacey sips water to
Yeah.
avoid answering the question
I
first.
can't talk. My
It's
mouth's
okay.
full. Sorry.
We're gonna let you get your throat wet, but then go ahead.
Pride to me is a sense of equality and what's the type of word I want to use? So many words I can use with this. Presence. Just depending on your gender, race, pronoun use, it's just equality. So being present in yourself, in your sense of self, and being proud of who you are, is what pride really means to me.
Hence the shirt. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to follow.
Yeah.
Pageant answers.
Pride to me is just like visibility, mostly for like the younger generation and stuff, because I think we all, no matter if you fall under the umbrella or not, like everybody wants to identify with somebody, and so being visible to somebody who's like lost and unsure and scared, it's kind of what it means to me.
Everybody does want to be seen. Everybody does want to be heard. So I definitely agree.
Yeah. I think for me, kind of along those same lines, Pride is a time of the year to really celebrate people living their truth, being comfortable with themselves, and just kind of celebrating what makes every person unique and who they are.
Ooh, I like that. Celebrating yourself. That brings us into our next question. Do you guys celebrate Pride any particular way, or how do you guys, when the month comes around, or is it an all year kind of?
For me, it's more of an all year because I kind of work in the community. So I think there's just more rainbows associated with it this month than any other time in the year.
Right.
So I would say, you're just more conscious of things that Pride is about, like Stonewall and things of that nature, and the early pioneers of like just people that went out and wanted to push gay and trans rights across the country and make it bigger than what it is and then to see it now. Yeah. So it's just being more open and educating yourself on what these kind of things mean to you, especially during this month.
Yeah. I think it's fun, to go to the parades and the parades and the different events and everything. But also kind of just as a reminder to be a little bit more intentional in, seeking out LGBT vendors and restaurants and businesses, LGBT-owned businesses and things like that, trying to be a little bit more intentional. But you're right, we should be doing it all year round.
Right.
Okay, so that goes great into our next question, which is, how do you feel about corporations embracing pride, and what would you like to see done in the future?
Well, shucks. There goes everybody looking at me.
You're at the head of the table, so your eyes just naturally gravitate.
Right.
Pageant answers. No, I actually thought about this question, and it ties in with how I feel about different themes of the month, like Black History Month, things of that nature. I love that corporations like to embrace a particular month, so to say, like Pride. But I would like it to be more of, instead of it just being, let's just embrace it for June. No, it really can be embraced all year with the focus of it being on June. But you can even go a step further as to the corporations are celebrating Pride, but what are you doing to educate people about things during Pride? Like, let's not just slap a rainbow on a piece of clothing and sell it for $30. How are we educating people so they'll know what Pride Month is about, or what Black History, not just Pride, but like Black History Month, or Music Awareness Month, or Autism Month. Like, let's not just slap rainbows or ribbons and call it
catchphrases.
Yeah,
on
let's
it
not
for
just
that
make
one,
it a
yeah.
cash grab. Let's actually educate people so they're aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I think because then you learn that the same companies that are putting a rainbow in their logo for the month of June have donated to political campaigns or other organizations that are like actively going against LGBT rights. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I think it's fine to do that, slap a rainbow. I love rainbows.
Right.
But as long as you're following it with actual like policies within your company that are seeking like equality for LGBT people and employees, and as long as you're putting your money basically where your mouth is with that statement.
Right.
Yeah, somebody had posted this thing on Instagram that I saw of these big corporations, like in America, their profile picture has the Pride sticker incorporated, but then like in the Middle East where they're have like their Twitter for that region, they don't have it, and that's a much more oppressed place where yes, gay people and everybody under that umbrella exist, but it's like over there, you could be killed, by your government for it, and it's just like, well, why don't you make that your logo over there too, to show them like, hey, we're with you here too. It makes you wonder what their intentions really are.
Right.
So I guess, I'm okay with it as long as like you got our back all 11 other months,
Right. I agree. I think if you're going to advocate, you have to fully advocate. And every year afterwards, you should be kind of going a little bit forward. We can't just always just have the rainbows. Like every year, you should be going a little bit further and a little bit further versus just giving out stickers and T-shirts.
Right.
Or having an Instagram post for a month, or even taking it down afterwards. But if you're gonna advocate, you fully have to advocate. You can't just halfway advocate, because these are people's lives, I feel like, and they can't turn it off. So it's kind of like almost a little bit, sometimes it's like a slap in the face, because it's just like, oh yeah, okay, nobody's looking, let's take it down. So
Right.
like, these are people's lives, they can't just turn it on and they can't just turn it off.
Yeah. So it's like, it sounds like a good and bad thing. Like you want the awareness, but is it genuine awareness? You
Right.
know?
Right,
So,
right.
But I think we can't really ignore, like, it's a really good thing about it is just visibility
Right.
and bringing the community to the forefront for at least part of the year, especially in places where it's not celebrated. I mean, it's one thing, you know, in Houston, we're in a big city.
Right.
Like, we have Montrose, rainbows all over the place all year round.
Right.
But in, like, tiny towns in the middle of nowhere, the month of June could be the only time that they're really seeing gay people on TV, like in the commercials and things like that,
Right.
where it's important that people can see themselves.
Yeah, because I definitely agree. Like,
Representation
you know,
is important.
10 years ago, it was never like this. So, I mean, we have made progress, but, you know, we can always move forward.
Continue to move forward. I love it. So we did talk a little bit about how other businesses kind of represent the month of June. Is there anything in particular about St. Hope that you feel like we represent for the community under the umbrella? I like Kacey saying the umbrella. You're at the head of the table. I said Casey's name, so I.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, just like, of course, a huge part of our population of patients fall under that umbrella. There's so many letters, you know. But you know, for years we've been showing up at Pride, you know, and you know, doing so much for the population of the community that has HIV, like going out and, you know, spreading awareness for that. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
I think we talked about before how it's important that companies have policies and things in place to lift up the community in the workplace. And I think St. Hope has policies that are company-wide, like pronoun changes, name changes. There are policies written in for all employees that work at the company. And that just, I mean, a lot of companies can be like, oh yeah, we support LGBT rights, but then don't necessarily do anything proactive to demonstrate that. And then little things I've noticed are like on our consent forms, it'll say like parent 1 and parent 2, and those are just little things that you might not necessarily think of unless you're a person that's filling out the form that doesn't fit in the box of those normal, like of the regular forms of mom and dad or things like that. So those are just little things that I think create a safe space in the company.
St. Hope's been around for a long time, and they've been prevalent in the community as far as giving people a place to go to get treatment, and to not just get treatment but get education, which is a key factor because some people, when they become positive, really lose a sense of self in a way. So with the right doctors around, the right counsel, the right case management, the right nurses, people also get educated. So, I mean, that's a key factor because some people may not know what's their next steps as far as treatment. They think they're just going to take a pill, but they don't realize like there's a whole, like you got to work out, you got to eat right. And then it just gives people a sense of hope. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I'm trademarking that. But
I think, you know, because they've been around for so long, everyone's pretty well versed in like culturally competent care for the community because it can definitely be scary to, especially in a healthcare setting, to go and, you know, have to come out to your doctor and you don't know how they're going to respond and whether you're going to be judged. Like there's always that fear. And so I think St. Hope has done a good job of establishing themselves as like I said, culturally competent care for patients.
Yeah, and you had mentioned safe space, like for sure. You know, even for, you know, us employees. You know, I think that, you know, I came out as trans last year in October, I think it was. It's been a whirlwind. And not at any point was I worried about how like my colleagues and management and stuff would handle it. It was more of like I was in my own way. But just that safe space of like knowing that, you know, you're going to be like people are going to respond well to you is so comforting, because there's so many places out there that if you came out as trans, you know, might lose your job, not for that reason, you know,
Quote unquote, yeah.
on paper, but, you know, they'd find a reason to get you out of there. And so, yeah, it's just like a very comforting place, I think, to be in.
Yeah. I had only been here for a month when that happened. And I was just thought as another, like, person under the umbrella, even not just for you, but, like, I was like, oh, okay, this company, it was a real demonstration of, like, how genuine everyone is at the company.
You had, like, a whole shout out. It was all about you that day.
Yeah.
Kacey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hashtag Kacey.
yeah, it was like, should we tell the team first? Should we? I was like, let's just tell everybody all at the same time. Rip the Band-Aid off, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I love that you got a warm welcome.
Feedback, great feedback.
Right.
So the next question is, what is one thing you wish people knew about the LGBTQ community?
Hashtag the umbrella. We're gonna
Hashtag the umbrella? Okay. The umbrella.
Oh, we didn't even look at you. Now you're going
I know.
first.
I know. I thought about that because before I lose it. Not every gay person has HIV. Would be a big one, because a lot of things with a lot of stigmas revolved around being in this community. There's a million different stigmas as it is being trans, being gay, lesbian, your pronouns. There's so much stigma. But a big one that a lot of people automatically assume is if someone's gay or lesbian, they automatically associate them with HIV. So that is a big educational piece a lot of people don't get to understand, but it's something that should be talked about a lot more.
I think for me, the most important thing that I wish people knew or kind of just appreciated more was that there's all the different letters. There's so many different letters. There's even more different kinds of people than letters. And actually people's sexuality or gender identity or anything is one teeny part of them. And there's so many other things that are equally as important. And yeah, I just think that sometimes that can be the focus, and it's like, it's not that's not the only thing you ever think about straight people. It's like the last thing you think about them.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was actually thinking about that before you stole my answer.
Really good answer.
But, you know, like, you know, it is such a small part of who we are. There's so many other things about us, you know, that I don't think that, for me at least, I don't think about it constantly, like, oh, I'm trans and my name's Kacey, you know. Like, you know, it's just a piece. And, you know, I know that there's a group of people in the country that think we're trying to turn their kids trans and gay and all those things. Like, we have no agenda like that. We just want to be treated equally.
We're not trying to transform the world.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the fact that LGBT youth are constantly surrounded by non-gay people and like a really heteronormative society and end up gay means that they can't be made to be gay and straight people can't made to be gay. It just, that's
Doesn't work
fake.
like that, yeah.
No. But
Yeah.
the one thing that like is 100% true is that just like acceptance is like proven to definitely decrease depression, feelings of like being an outsider or alone or feeling bad or wrong, like in terms of LGBT youth feeling that way. The one thing that's proven to be effective is just acceptance. And that's a pretty relatively easy thing to do. Like we have this big problem of, you know, suicide rates in LGBT youth are much higher, and we have this little thing that we can do to fix it. So
Let's fix it.
Let's fix it. I like that.
Fix it.
It's easy acceptance. I think it's very simple, but a hard thing for people to do because I think it's like control.
And even with the acceptance, that ties into like we just went through the anniversary of the Pulse incident, so that is a big thing with acceptance, is just educating people that not all gay people are out to get the straight people. So there's no even, and that even could tie into the whole mass shooting thing that's happening now across the country with acceptance. So I think more education is key across like all boards. I think it's like really, really necessary for people to just be more educated and less ignorant to things to try to avoid incidents.
We're gonna start an education course, and you're gonna be the teachers of the course. So get ready. That's next. I feel it.
Yes, make little pamphlets.
Yeah, little pamphlets and PowerPoints. They're gonna be like,
And
this
that's
is great.
really not even unique to, I think you might have been saying this. I'm sorry if you were. Like, it's not just unique to the LGBTQ plus community, with, race discrimination and everything like that. It's like educating yourself. Like, it's really, like, I saw this billboard when I was driving around Houston once that was like, it's hard to hate up close. And it was, I think it was about like the Holocaust Museum, like advertisement. And I was like, wow, that is so like true. If you know somebody in these demographics that you judge, or you have you have this like, what word am I looking
Like
for?
a preconceived notion?
Yes, Sean, exactly. Like, you just think you have these assumptions, but whenever you know somebody who's in that community, you're like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, maybe I can be taught something here,
I like it.
I like it too. Y'all are doing great. I love getting to know you guys better. Okay, so why do you feel like it is important to work for an organization like St. Hope?
I think, like we said, how we want corporations who are, celebrating Pride to put their money where their mouth is. It's kind of like the same for you as a person. Like, you want to work somewhere that has good morals and ethics in their company, which is hard to do. I mean, I think we're lucky to be able to work for a company that actively, is welcoming. But yeah, that's why it's important to me.
I imagine like 20 years ago, even whenever I first came out as a lesbian, the first time. And, and I remember being like, I was like 16 and being like, oh man, where am I going to work? Not knowing that there's like so many people like me out there. Mm-hmm. And being like, if they find out, what's going to happen, and just if I could tell my 16-year-old self like where I'll be at in however many years it's been since then, like I'd be like, I would be so relieved, right. So working somewhere that, is so like supportive, it makes all the difference. I think we might take it for granted, like just in the day to day, but there's so many people out there that like I have trans friends that are like, yeah, nobody at my work knows about me. And I'm like, what?
That's crazy, right? Come to St. Hope.
Yeah. Offering.org. Yeah, and then piggyback off what Dr. Barnes said, it's just really nice to come to a company that has the right morals in place, so where you can work comfortably. And even like Kacey said, there's a lot of people in our trans community that don't get opportunities, and even the ones that, aside from the ones that are working, there's a lot of trans people in our community that can't find work because when you walk into an HR room and they look at you and they already like, okay, we can see you're trans, they'll automatically disqualify you, even though they won't say they'll disqualify you, like what Kacey said earlier. but they'll find a reason to where you're not eligible. So, I mean, it's nice to have a company that actually follows suit and gives people equal opportunities, like truly gives them equal opportunity to work in a safe space so they can make a living and won't have to be just out on the street looking for something.
I love it.
Well, I think y'all kind of answered all of our questions that we have here.
So we're going to give you guys the floor one last time. If you want to say anything, anything you didn't touch, anything you thought of in the midst of this conversation, this is your platform.
I would like to encourage anybody who's listening, so weird to say that, to do research on why we have Pride and in June specifically and what led up to that. I would also encourage anybody to look at the background of the Ryan White Care Act and what led up to that. I am a super student of history, so whenever I started working here, I was like, what's this about? And my mind was blown, what? And I was like, does everybody who works here know this? And no. And I'm like, y'all have to know this, come on.
Right.
I think I'm just going to echo what these guys have said before me. We've all talked about the importance of education, and so I think for all the people listening, Pride Month is a good time, but also year-round, but we'll stick to Pride Month. Being a good time to try to educate yourself and try to, make some changes in your life. If you're not seeing how am I relating to Pride Month and what can I do to contribute, even just small things in your life, sort of by just being mindful about your language. I talked before about how our forms say parent 1 and parent 2, just sort of instead of making assumptions about people, ask questions. If someone mentions that they're married or things like that, ask questions about your partner or ungendered language that allows the person that you're speaking to tell you about them. It goes a really long way for people, in the LGBT community to feel comfortable.
Join us soon for more of the Hope Talk. We look forward to spreading more awareness about different topics. So coming soon.